joined us. You're still on to Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. Let's get to our conversation for today. The House of Representatives approves bill to expand the Lagos LGAs to 57. The House of Representatives has approved the bill seeking to upgrade Lagos State's 37 development areas councils into full-fledged local government areas, increasing the state's total number of LGAs from 20 to 57. The bill, one of 42 constitutional amendments, a bill passed on Wednesday, was sponsored by Honorable James Abiodun Faleke, Ikeja Federal Constituency, Honorable Baba Jimmy Benson, Ikorodu Federal Constituency, and Honorable Eniton Dolapo, Lagos Island 1 Federal Constituency, alongside 19 other lawmakers, titled a bill for an act to alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended to accommodate the 37 development area councils of Lagos State as full-fledged local government areas, increasing the total number of local government areas in the Federation to 811. And for related matters, HB 1498. The proposed legislation scaled its second reading during Wednesday's plenary session, presided over by Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu. It enacted the bill, of course, will increase the total number of LGAs in Nigeria from 774 to 811, making Lagos State with the highest number of LGAs, surpassing Kano, which of course still has 44, and Katsina 34. Now let's have a conversation today. I still have with me John Akarele and Innocent Adulu, but thank you so very much, gentlemen, for being here. I'd love to start with you, John. This is very concerning. You are someone who is so very much aware with the Lagos State, the politics and everything that goes on. Safe to say that Lagos State has done very so well for itself. You know, managing its funds, it has been able to create quasi LGAs that are doing awesomely well, even better than some registered local government areas in other states of the Federation. Do you think this call is a good one?
Well, for me, it's not about personal opinion. It's about the school of thought that, follows this kind of conversation. There are some people who are the school of thought who are asking this question, that even when we have 20 local government and 37 LCDAs, each of these local government get allocation from the federal government, and the allocation is shared by the LCDAs and the local government under them. For example, we have Kushofe local government. Under Kushofe local government, there are 2 LCDAs. Agboike 2 LCDA and the Kosisheri LCDA. Any allocation that comes from the federal government is shared among the 3 of them, Koshofe, Agboyi, and the Kosisheri. Now, the point some people have is that there is no accountability when, like in last month, about 1.8 billion was shared among these 3 arms of government there. Now, the thing is, what did each of these local government do with the money? How did it translate, to the street of Ikosisheri? How did it translate to the schools that you have there? In Ikosisheri, for instance, the healthcare center is in the same compound where the local government complex is. You see them build beautiful structures for secretariat, and then in that health center, there are no drugs. There is no enough syringe, no enough bed space. Then you ask yourself a question: are we truly building offices, or should we be building hospitals for people? Also, the schools in Ikosisheri are Aidede Ajibola High School and Ikosi High School, Ikosi Primary School and Express Community Primary School, and then Isheri High School and Primary School. How many of these schools have had the effect of the local government to their schools? None of them. So the point is, people are saying, even when the local government that you say are effective, it is not the people that feel the effect of governance. Rather, it's those at the corridor of power that you see them dress well, wear good clothes, drive fancy cars, have good offices, but you go to them, nothing is happening. And so it gets to that point that those are a school of thought. Another school of thought are saying, if the federal government approves this thing, it's a win for Lagos. It means that we now have full-fledged local government. But the underlying factor is the issue of transparency and accountability. Now, go to any of these local governments and ask them, how many of the residents knows the budget of their local government or their LCDA? How many? How many of them knows who their councillor is? How many times does the councillors go back home to engage their constituents as to the public hearing of the budget, how the budget will affect education, how it will affect their primary health care center, how will it affect their market, how will it affect their livelihood, and what they need to do? How many of these local government officers, councillors do all of these things? So for me, if the LCDA cannot be that effective, is it when it becomes a full-fledged local government that will be effective? The answer is no. And that comes to our selection processes. When people get into position of chairmanship by selection, not by the people's mandate, that's what happens. It means that you are loyal to somebody who have appointed you as supposedly, allegedly your godfather. And so you are loyal to your godfather, you make remittance to your godfather as to making development to your own people. If that's the case, if local government will be approved in Lagos State, for me it is a good news, it's a good joy. But at the end of the day, another thing again is that how many local government chairman can print out their statement of account on a month-to-month basis and say, as a local government chairman, this is how much we receive from the federal government. This is how much we have spent on this project. In health, we are spending this. And people can go to verify. On their own platform, on this kind of budget platform, there is a mini stadium that was in last year 2023 budget, 200 million in Nikosi High School. The mini stadium is nowhere to be found. The 200 million has been released. There's another 70 million released now for that same project. That's 270 million. And they said the project is still ongoing. Where is it ongoing? Mini stadium is not something you can see with your eyes. And so that will show to you the lack of transparency on the part of the people. And that's what I'm saying. If you are not faithful in little, how can you be faithful in much? As a local government chairman, as an LCDA chairperson, if you are not faithful in that one, is it when you become a local government chairman that be faithful? The answer is no. So I think on this note, that is where Mr. President, should now have a call to these people that stand on his mandate and tell them, governance is about the people. If the primary school that is beside your local government secretariat cannot feel the impact of government as a public school, then what are we saying? And I said to anybody that cares to listen, anything that will change. If you be a public servant, make sure that if you are sick, use the public general hospital. Your children, if they are going to school, they go to that same public school. You want to buy, you buy on a public market. If you want to live, you live among that same vicinity. In that case, when there's no light, you get to know because there's no light in your house and there's no generator. If your children go to school and there's no chalkboard, they will tell you that mom, there's no chalkboard. If you are sick, you go to the hospital, they tell you there's no syringe. You understand that indeed there's no syringe. But in our own case, our political officers are far from the reality. They represent the people, but they don't live among the people. And that for me is a sad story.
Very sad story. Innocent Aduluba, just coming from what John said. This morning, I read of a whistleblower who blew against corruption in one of the local government councils in Lagos State, about billions of naira that was spent and can't be accounted for. The same whistleblower was incarcerated for 11 days. He had to struggle to meet his bail condition. Why those he blew the whistle against are the ones that made sure that he was incarcerated. Now, speaking about the additional local government areas, of course, to certify them as duly autonomous local government areas, do you think we should be talking about this from the perspective of, just like John said, managing what we have as against just giving it to them, and of course, it's still the same thing that we are used to?
You see, first of all, what is a local government? What are the sources of revenue for a local government? What are the limits of autonomy for a local government? Nigeria runs a federal system of government. One of the most pronounced is the United States of America. And local government in America started like a voluntary thing. In 1633, Dorchester, Massachusetts, in the United States, farm owners come together to discuss open issues. And so if your farm is too far to attend meeting A, you attend in meeting B, and all those groups became local governments or local counties. And so those who discuss over time elect their head. If a particular time is over, somebody is going to be ill, not disposed, they elect another head until it evolved into a regular term. The sources of funds for local government are tax, sales, in-house revenue, And in South Africa, Switzerland, these are good local government examples. They run it in cantons, low cantons. The United States of America, local governments fund themselves. In fact, the largest election in South Africa is the local government election, where road, buildings, employment, health falls under the purview of the local government as regards power devolution. Perhaps Japan too is a practicing such, John will tell us. But in Nigeria, we run a tit-for-tat government.
And that means what?
I will tell you.
Please.
If you do this for these states, you must do it for the other states. That's how we run. In 1990, Kano was about the 8th largest state in Nigeria, but had 20 local government areas. At the time, that number was massive. Today, up to 9 states are larger than Kano. If you look at Borno, Yobe, Adamawa, Taraba, I've given you 4. If you look at Niger, the largest, 5, Kogi, 6, Benue, Oyo, I can list more for you, are larger than Kano. Now, that Kano that these states are large has been divided into 2. That means Kano is both Kano and Jigawa. That Kano of 20 local governments divided into 2 should be 10-10. Am I wrong?
Yeah,
no, the Kano now alone has 40 local government areas.
44.
And 44. And Jigawa has about 31 or 32.
So which means if you add both together,
it is 70-something now.
70-something already.
And the tit for tat is, if you create new local government in Oyo, with about 31 local government or thereabout, Kano will tell you need to create more for them. If you create new states, all the state creation you hear, this country of 36 states, half of 36 is what? 19. I mean, 18.
Yeah.
The North alone already have states more than half of the other 2 regions. Are you getting me? But if you create one state now in the Southwest, the North will tell you to balance. Yes, we will run a tit for tat local government system in Nigeria. So if these 36 LCDAs we are discussing are allowed to fund, I would like the government constitution to have it, that all states are free to have as much local government as they want.
No,
they will fund it.
Okay.
That's the caveat.
Okay.
Have the number of local governments you want, you will fund it. That time, Henry, nobody will be clamoring for. But you see, it's a political compensation. As soon as you have this number of local governments, the allocation coming will be commensurate to that number. Irrespective of your treasure contribution. Look at Bayelsa and Oil Base. It has 8 local government areas. In 1994, oil exploration was halted there because Bayelsa was rated among one of the world's most polluted area. And Nigeria is a signatory to World Environmental Cleanup. Sorry for the digression. Now there are overtures from the government and they've promised Bayelsa a university so that they can return to exploration. But the cleanup has not been done. And Bayelsa with 8 local government cannot get the allocation that goes to Kano or Jigawa. You know, so there are intricacies to this thing. And as soon as you crown Lagos this number, already there are some APC states that are beginning to practice the LCDA models. We wouldn't know if Lagos will begin to lead that clamor and how many local governments will start springing up. And by then, in Nigeria, it will be a difficult possibility to reverse it.
Very, very true. John, I would love you to speak to what Innocent had said, because it has taken us to another dimension now that I think is necessary we talk about here. Kano is NNPP, isn't it? Yes. So, and we would see, of course, what they had done in the 2023 election, about 2 million votes plus, okay, as against what we have in Lagos here, which is the APC. So do you think all of this is more taking a political dimension than it is just a developmental thing that would be good to the lives of Nigerians?
My brother, the thing is so simple. There is a knowledge in Yoruba land. Want to call in It's not how many set of teeth that you have that determines how far you can bite. It's not about the numbers. You have 2 million votes. What is the workforce of your state? Do you understand? What is the workforce? You get married, you do mass wedding, you have children. They are just electoral value. It does not relate into development. I would have expected Nigeria and this state to be having good competition amongst themselves. What do we have in Kano that we have in abundance that we can sell to all of Nigerians and that will generate more money than Lagos tax? That is what I think a reasonable government or governors should be doing. What are the states that are close to my state? How can we connect? How can we collaborate? We are looking at, if you come to Japan, the length and breadth of Japan is connected by rail. There are places that all they do is they sell beer. That's why if you come, you hear names like Sapporo beer. They produce beer, Suntory, they produce whiskey. And they sell their whiskey all across the length and breadth of the country. That is their own source of generating income. And that's their own way of creating jobs for their people. They have factories, they have logistics, they have truck drivers, they have workers who sell, they have sales officers. So they are also generating money for their state. They are creating employment. People are gainfully employed. And nobody, everybody is not running to Tokyo. The same thing. What is our problem? That the length and breadth of Nigeria cannot be on rail. Why is it that I cannot connect Lagos to Ogun, Ogun to Osun, Osun to Ondo, Ondo to Ekiti by rail? Why can't we have regional? Those are the good competition I expect from our political leaders. But when you put round peg in square hole, that's what you get. You have leaders who come into office not because of the benefit of the people, not for the good, but for their own personal gain and interest. And I think they should go and learn from my late governor, Akedolu. We thought that he amassed for himself. Where is he today? He's a blessed memory. And so that should give us a note that even when you amass all of this wealth, a time will come that you leave. But what will be said about you and your name? So for me, it should be about good competition, where Kano is competing with Lagos in terms of workers' welfare, in terms of unemployment rates, in terms of good road network, in terms of security. Because Kano is better than Lagos. Kano is more stable economically, is more secured, they have more industries, the unemployment in that state is about 2%. That is good competition for me. So if you come at that rate and you say you want to create more states, that takes us to the second point, which is our true federalism, where every region, you work and you eat from what you have worked. Not that you create 100 local governments and you sit down because there's an allocation, which is manna, falling from Abuja. If that is reversed, that from your own sweat shall you eat, that's what the scripture says, right? From your own sweat shall you eat. And I think if that principle is, effected in Nigeria, that as a state, if you like, you can create 1 million local government, but from your own sweat shall you eat. But in a case where there's a federal allocation from the federal government, people feel the more local government they create, the more allocation they get. But the thing now is, if you have 4 million people, your electoral value, you have 8 million votes. It shows you have 8 million productive people. Right? Then what is the productivity index of your state? If you cannot match your productivity index of your state to the number of electoral votes, then the governor, something must have been wrong with him up here. And I think that is the conversation that we should be having. It's not a case of Lagos is increasing the local government, Kano must increase their own too. No. It's a case of good competition, productivity, and with that, you see that every region will be growing. I target regional revitalization. Countries of the world are doing that. And so if your own state, all you can plant is cucumber, plant cucumber, have cucumber farmers, let them go to cucumber state, and then supply the 36 states, 35 states cucumber. Do you know how much you generate from selling of cucumber alone? So I think at this point, our governors are just too lazy. They are lazy assholes. And the thing is, there should be reforms that will put these governors on their toe to to look at how they can explore some of those things. There's no state in this country, Nigeria, that does not have a tourist attraction site. And so if everybody should go back to their state, develop that which they have, you see that you have more than enough to feed your own people, and you can from that give a fraction of it to the federal government. With that, things would have been easier.
Very, very, very true. Innocent Atiluba, Lagos State generates about 1.26 trillion naira from IGR every single year. And of course, asking that more LGAs, more LCDAs be made local government areas awesome and good. But just like John did say, how are we able to utilize some of those things? While coming to work today, just by the entrance of the Lagos State Public Works site, there you see people doing open defecation. You see filth all over the place, black spots all over the place. So is this about favoring or playing to the gallery for politicians, or is this really to the benefit of Nigerians, especially Lagosians? Remember the riot talk, the youth corps member who said, allegedly said, Lagos is smelly, which lots of people, of course, weren't comfortable with. But the reality for some of us living in Lagos is what she said is true. So how can we better utilize or take advantage of, if possible, these LGAs are made what it should be? How can Lagos State government take advantage of this to correct some of the anomaly that we see today in the state?
Let's commend Lagos. Lots of the administrative ideals in Nigeria Lagos is looked at as the template.
The model, that is.
The model, so to speak. Yeah. Environmental sanitation, Lagos is doing great. Perhaps they need to do more. You understand me? Now, in transportation, Lagos, if you ask me, should accelerate to operate a multimodal system. There are too many wasted transport opportunities in Nigeria. If you go to Ikorodu and then you look at the ferry system across the lagoon, it's primitive. If you have good ones, they are in sprinkles. And because they are few, they are very expensive. So the advantage, the comparative advantage is now low. If you take ferry, you get there quicker and pay more. Does the economy of the people support paying more than road? So people will go back to road, experience the delay. Is that something that's what fits into their budget? Lagos should, if you ask me, entrench manufacturing culture. We do that. I don't know what is manufactured in Lagos, as in the made in Nigeria. I'm not talking of, in quotes, one foreign industry manufacturing cables. No. Something indigenous. Is it Ashebi, Ashoke, Kente, tie and dye? Then thirdly, Lagos is handicapped by Abuja.
Speak to me. How do you
I will. This is electricity, railway, some of these things some are now concurrent, but are federally decided. So if you want to look at, we're talking power. What where John is, what does the federal government regulate with power generation and distribution? You understand me? So this light we see primarily is tied to Kainji. The distance from Kainji to Lagos, if you ask me what gets to Lagos, will be residue. It will be left over. The people on the way here, a journey of about maybe 15 hours by road. So by the 5th hour, 8th hour, if I want to use pidgin English, the better light don't it's not for road. I don't know how the engineers do it, but Nigeria is too centrally run for Lagos to go on its own autonomy. Many cities or states like Lagos worldwide are largely autonomous in determining rules. Look at, there is a stock exchange in Lagos. What's the name? I'm sure there's a Tokyo Stock Exchange.
Yes.
There's a London Stock Exchange.
Yeah.
There's a New York Stock Exchange. What's the name of the one in Lagos?
Nigerian Stock Exchange.
And that's an Abuja coinage. You know, so yes, there are expectations we have of Lagos. Yes, Lagos can do more, but the headache of Lagos is the Abuja handicap. So sometimes when people compare Lagos with Johannesburg, Casablanca, Cairo, Nairobi, I don't know if they run centralized federal governments like Nigeria, where look at this sun hanging in the sky. Before you take a major solar policy in Lagos, you will go to Abuja and take permission from the federal government concerning the sun that is hanging in the sky.
But don't you think that's a breeding ground for secession, which Nigerians, those in authority, do not want to hear? Because when you allow for such autonomy, which means you are lucidly giving the opportunity for a Lagos state that might one day say they don't want to belong to the larger society called Nigeria.
There are two things.
Yes.
One, you can run a loose federal government called confederate system, as is done in the United States. I don't know if the French do that with their hundreds. And in a confederacy, the regions or states are almost autonomous. It does not mean they refuse to be part of the central government. What happens, just like the federal government is, the federal powers are few and the federal offices are weak and less attractive. Nobody wants to go to Abuja, where the action is in the states. As in the days of the sage, Obafemi Awolowo, irrespective of serially losing his presidential election, the regions were the John has told us, the regions were the strength base. And you have to be regionally relevant
before you can.
So it's not a breeding ground for secession. Now, two, what we call secession in Nigeria happens worldwide for free. Yugoslavia has been divided into nearly 8 countries. If the people don't feel connected to you any further, you activate, is it a plebiscite or referendum, and then everybody goes their way. If you say that here, they just slam you with treasonable felony. Countries are splitted worldwide. The other day, Scotland had one, and they've pegged some number of years. They will carry another count and determine if you are going to go. If that's those Scottish people were in Nigeria and they make such comment, they are afraid to be like the Nnamdi Kanus. So if any group, any state, any region for long time is almost disturbing us like cancer, that they want to go their separate ways, activate the going thing and you go your way. We run the remaining place. I don't know what to say. You know, I'm sorry to you've had Bosnia, Bosnia Herzegovina, Kosovo, Macedonia. They're all countries. Some of these countries are less than 20 years old. They're running there in Europe. It's big business for the EU. It's big business for FIFA. The World Cups get wider, and they run there. So we just hear certain things there and here. We slam it with one. The person qualifies for the guillotine. Why?
Very true. John, just before I let you leave, loved you to speak to what Innocent had said. Because, of course, what we are yearning for is for a Lagos state that should compete with the League of Cities around the world. Just like you are very much aware, the Olympics, for example, is not hosted by nations, but by cities. Lagos State, unfortunately, cannot do that because they do not have the required infrastructure to make that happen. They can't even bid, not to talk of even giving the right to host. Do you think the independence of Lagos State would make it better, especially with regards to the autonomy of LGAs that they're asking for? What do you think would be the best way forward here?
Thank you very much. I think for me, if we will be serious with ourselves, we need to go back to the regional way of governance, and that will bring about good competition. It has worked before in this country, Nigeria. Look at the days of Western era and Eastern region. Do you see the competition that was coming in terms of textile industry? in terms of automobile, then the Onishas of this world, the Kano of this world, then they have textile industries there. And what we are doing then was good competition. We are looking at the quality. Oh, the quality of fabrics that comes from Kano is far better than that of the East. Yeah. The one that comes from the East. So that is good. So it means that industrialization of the regions will cut across. The massive production of food will also come across. The same way you have Lagos. In Japan, there is Tokyo. And there are other suburbs that are not as big as Tokyo. But those suburbs are surviving on their own at their own rate. And that's why when it's vacation era, people leave the big city and come to the hinterlands to enjoy fresh food, to enjoy nature, to go skiing. Those are the ways by the way those ones generate their own money too. So it's mutualistic. Now for me, I think before now, there has been an excuse that why Lagos is not growing so fast is because the center does not align, with the government of Lagos State. But I'm so shocked from the Buhari administration that Lagos is APC, the presidency is also APC. How come we have not seen that growth and synergy for the past 8 years?
Very true. How
come that some of those things that should have made governance easier, that should have even put Lagos on a global map, is not been there? How much more now that we have a president who is supposedly the mastermind mapper or map maker of Lagos, now sitting as the president for over 2 years, and you have a Sanwo-Olu who is now a governor of Lagos State, and you have an Akpabio who is the state president that is standing on the money of the president. Now, does that not say to you that something is wrong somewhere? Now that you have all of these forces on the same page, how come some of these things do not still have to have autonomy to Lagos State to start generating something like power on its own? My brother, let's take power for instance. If power is devotion, there's devolution of power. I mean power generation, electricity now. Do you know what that would do for Lagos? Most people who go to the island will not go to the island. Each region of Lagos, the mainland will develop at its own pace. The island will develop at its own pace. Why? Because there is industrialization, massive one. Your Ekpe land that you have that is just there as bush would have been massive. It will be your industrial hub of Lagos, just like you have in China. And the same thing to Aba, area market would have also, but we have all of these things. But they'll tell you that the system of governance is still inhibiting their growth. So at this point in time, if truly we want good competition, I want all these states, because I tell you, for anybody who cares to listen, why I love my country, Nigeria, I see Nigeria as a world power. The same way the Japan is Asian tiger and serve as the second or third economy or fourth economy in the world. The same way Nigeria can be the fifth economy of the world. Why? Because we are the largest population in terms of black nation on this global earth. And even we are the power force of Africa. Now, Lagos is not the power center of Nigeria, which means that if Lagos gets it right, it means that Nigeria also gets it right. So in terms of food production, we can get self-sufficiency. In terms of job creation, we can get self-sufficiency. In terms of exports, that can also generate money for us. So this thing will create jobs for our people. We will have a cleaner city. We will be on the global stage. We will have more money. There will be more tax coming to the government. You have more jobs. And then we can now start, spreading all of these goods across length and breadth of Africa. And that's how we are on that journey to become a world power. The other countries can start reckoning with us. Look at what Ibrahim Traore is doing. That's just the president of Burkina Faso. Our own Sanwo-Olu, governor of Lagos State, can do more than what Traore is doing. But in a case where the framework is not flexible enough for him, that's the problem. The last one, my brother, is that even the governors are not in tandem with the local government autonomy. And so the same way we are talking that the governors should be given a free hand to run, the governors also should give the local government chairman the free hand to run. Let them also be autonomous so that development there will be good competition between the local government and the state. Now, there will be devolution of power and projects that can be handled. This road is strong B road. It should be handled by the state government. This road is strong C road. It should be handled by the local government. And the local government have their budget and they can run. In that case, if there's anything calling out the government the governor can call the local government and say, okay, this road is a transit road. This chairman is supposed to do this road, not we as a government. In that case, there's good fighting, there's good competition, and that will lead to good development of the city and state at large, and even the country.
Very, very true. Sometimes we wonder and ask ourselves if we can ever get the right type of development that we need. Hoping and praying that it works, but other nations have made it possible. In 1965, when Malaysia said that it wasn't interested in having Singapore as a brother, because they felt at the time Singapore was just a fishing ground that wasn't of any value to Malaysia. Lim Kuan Yew took up that mantle and said he was going to build a Singapore that would be very, very big. Today, Singapore is a first world country, and these were countries that started with Nigeria. Lim Kuan Yew in 1979 came to Nigeria and took up palm, improved seeds from us here. And today they are the biggest and largest producers of palm fruits. And we that gave them as gifts can't even boast of 10% of what they are doing. So very unfortunate. And this, of course, speaks to the deficit of leadership in our country, Nigeria. Thank you so very much, John, for being here. It's truly awesome having you anytime. We truly do appreciate you, sir.
Thank you very much for having me. And God bless Nigeria.
Thank you. Innocent Aduluba. Thank you, as always.
My pleasure. I hope we gravitate towards the right thing. The world is looking at Nigeria. We have everything except genuine political will.
Very true. All right, people, that's just about the time we have. We'd love to say thank you to you for making this picture complete. You truly made it for us, so we truly do appreciate you once more. But please do well to visit us. You can always read up on this. We have discussed today. When you visit us at enterprisetvnews.com, you may equally rewatch some of the things we've said here when you visit us at enterprisetvnews.com. My name is Henry Kwebike. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow time. Have yourself a wonderful day. Bye-bye from us.